Able to connect, we'll invite you. I think we are unable to connect Arun Vijayji, who is one of the great author, and he wrote many books. He was the editor of Panchjanya, and his experience of dealing with the, especially in academic institutions, how to transform. Now we are unable to connect Tarunji. Now I invite Ruthie Maye Padilla, the environment educator of WWF Philippines, to share her story about the WWF work with the Philippines. Yes, Ruthie.
So good evening,
Good evening.
everyone. Good evening from the Philippines. Actually, good
Good
morning.
evening. Yeah,
Already good morning here. Good day to everyone and mabuhay. Thank you for this opportunity to share. So let me just fix my slide. Okay. So again, I'm May Padilla and I'm from WWF Philippines. So WWF, it's the one with the panda, not wrestling. And WWF stands for Worldwide Fund for Nature. So just to introduce the organization and maybe to invite all of you for some movement, let me share the sign language for WWF. We start with two W's and we make a big circle: World Wide Fund for Nature. So that's how we sign WWF. We're an environmental NGO and we're present in different countries all over the world. We used to be known as World Wildlife Fund, but now we're Worldwide Fund for Nature because we realize that in order to take care of wildlife, we also have to deal with other issues like climate change, waste management, energy management, and all other things that affect these animals. So in the Philippines, these are our priority projects. And as you can see, education is one of them. So I'm part of the Education for Sustainable Development team. I will start my presentation with sad news and say that unfortunately our Earth is in crisis. It has been mentioned also a while ago. And when we think of this, we usually think of our current situation, COVID-19, pandemic, and um, the millions of lives that we've lost. But even as even if we get over the first wave, the second wave, or other waves of this pandemic, we know that bigger issues are present, like climate change and biodiversity collapse. So we've been hearing reports about our 2030 deadline, and unfortunately, we're nowhere near the 1.5 degree target. And we're also hearing about the decline, biodiversity decline, and the recent Living Planet report of WWF showed that we've actually lost two-thirds of wildlife since the 70s. So the Earth has 11.9 billion global hectares capable of providing us with the things that we need: food, clothing, shelter, and also to absorb our carbon emissions and our waste. And each person on Earth consumes a lot of things in order to survive. But there are now more than 7.8 billion people in the world. So all of us are consuming something, and all of us are producing waste as well. So that's how we compute for the ecological footprint, the resources we use, and the waste that we produce. And that's also why we're in a crisis right now, because we're seeing that we have been living in ecological debt. For example, in 2007, humanity's footprint was 18 billion gigahectares, and we just mentioned that it was 11.9. So if we ask how many planet Earths do we need, in 2005, it was equivalent to having 1.3 planet Earths. Last year, it was equivalent to 1.6 planet Earths. And if we don't do anything, by 2030, we would be needing two planet Earths. But the more important question is, how many planet Earths do we have? We only have one. And so the push for sustainability becomes even more urgent. And as our former DG mentioned, the great challenge of this century is to figure out just how to live on this planet in a way that it can sustain. So, what is sustainability? Very simply, it's having a balance between source and use, balance between supply and demand, and balance between today and tomorrow. So we have to have this kind of mindset, even in the kind of development that we want. So it's not just about having more buildings or having more roads or um, having higher technology, but it's also development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. And we have the pillars of sustainable development to guide us. So when we talk of sustainable development, oops, apologies for the typo, we look into not just economical development or development society, but we also have to put the planet or the environmental issues as a priority. So just like what the new song, let me just refer to the new song released by BTS and Coldplay. My universe, you are my universe, and I just want to put you first. So I guess that's how we should move forward. So the goal is sustainability, and we have the pillars of sustainable development to guide us. You have the SDGs as a framework to help us reach our targets, and to support all of these, ESD or Education for Sustainable Development plays a great role. So we have to move outside the classroom or go beyond the corners of our classroom and think of new ways, innovative ways, transformative ways to teach our youth, our students, and our communities. So I'm sure you're all familiar with what ESD is, but sorry, sorry, oops, sorry. So environmental education for sustainable development is a holistic approach and focuses on skills, attitudes, and values to shape a sustainable and just future. And it motivates us to identify and act in ways to contribute towards achieving our own vision of a more sustainable future. So for WWF, we when we do our workshops, we usually recommend a whole school approach, and we focus on the four C's. So first is culture, and then curriculum, campus, and community. So for culture, when we look at the cultural component, personal and collective values and sustainability are essential. They need to be identified, clarified, and communicated. And an important step to becoming a sustainable school is manifesting these values in the vision mission statements. For sustainable values to be deeply embedded and sustainable practices to be fully implemented, the whole school system and the whole school community must be involved. So when we talk of culture, we also look at the trainings that we give to our teachers and the values that we want to present and how we are perceived by other people or other schools. So it's declaring that we are for environmental education, we are for environmental conservation, and we are for sustainable development. Next is curriculum. I think that's been also mentioned earlier how important integration is. And I actually also have here a quote from David Ord, same quote, that all education is environmental education. So, for example, when we teach COVID-19, we don't just rely on science, but we want other subjects to also be able to um, discuss this. So, for science, for example, we can include this when we talk about the respiratory system, but in math, we can use this issue to talk about rate of transmission, to practice our math operations, to analyze math problems. So even math teachers or even the math subject can be used to talk about sustainable development. For languages, so English and Filipino are usually used in the Philippines. So it building vocabulary, using literature. There's also writing, so journal writing about your experiences of COVID-19, learning new words, or creating stories about the pandemic. For music, arts, and PE, physical education. So some of the things that children can be taught would be how to create their own face shields and face masks using what they have at home. And then for campus, the third C, it's actually reflecting like what do you see when you walk around your school that tells you that you are an institution committed to sustainability. So according to the Center for Green Schools, a school's physical place, including the built environment, surrounding natural environment, and the resources that flow through the school provide both the context for an educational experience. So it's also a manifestation of our values. So our physical school, the things that we have at school, how we use our energy, our water, our how we manage our waste. These are all manifestation of our commitment and our vision to promote sustainability. And the last C is community. So through ESD, effective partnerships with the community are fostered. The school is recognized as an important part of the community, and the community is seen as as a valuable influence to the school as well. So we encourage linkages with NGOs, businesses, religious organizations, national agencies, and the very first would be the parents as well. So as you can see here, some of the pictures show that we also try to involve the parents in our different activities and campaigns. So another highlight that we do is to teach the dimensions of ESD. Head dimension is learning about the environment. Heart dimension, learning in and through the environment. So this focuses on establishing connection, finding meaning, and hand dimension for learning for the environment. So this one focuses on action, participation, and contribution. So, for example, for the head dimension, these are usually the data, information, um, facts, research. So, questions like this: is a real shark a whale or a shark? So, for the heart dimension, it's finding personal meaning. So, um, these are some questions that you might want to ponder on. So if, for example, for me personally, I love the sunset. I particularly love sunsets. I love the sunset colors, and I also love the sunrise when I'm able to wake up early. Um, I'm also into. I like rocks and trees. They say that trees are silent witnesses to history. This is one of my favorite photos taken by my brother. And when I saw this, my reflection was people are just so small compared to everything in the universe. We're so small. We're just a small part of the world. And yet, we're able to do things like this. We're able to affect our earth in these ways. So, this brings us to the next dimension, which is the hand dimension. So we also have to learn for the environment, and this one focuses on action, participation, contribution, and advocacy. So I'm gonna skip some of the slides. I don't think I have that much time. So usually when we talk of learning, it's head dimension, heart dimension, and hand dimension. But in environmental education and ESD, we also recommend that we start with the heart dimension. So even before we learn about the parts of the flowers or the scientific name of the flower, it's important that we provide our kids with the opportunity to appreciate flowers, how beautiful they are, how wonderful they smell, and we hope that these personal connection would establish a better commitment to protecting the environment. So sorry, let me just And then there is a fourth dimension that we recognize, and it is the face dimension. Sorry, my slides are stuck. Let me just skip this. Sorry. The face dimension, it's representing the environment. So this one focuses on being a role model so that others can follow and be inspired. So as educators, as teachers, we play this very special role of being a role model to our students and to the youth. So this is an excerpt from Beyond Ecophobia of David Sobel, where he discusses a study made by Louis Chola. She tried to understand the factors that inspired current environmentalists to why they're so committed to protecting the environment. And from all the interviews and from the data that she gathered, this was her conclusion. Most environmentalists attributed their commitment to a combination of two sources. Many are spent outdoors, so that's the heart dimension, and having an adult who taught respect for nature, which is the face dimension. So, just to end my presentation, I'd like to ask, will you be this adult? So, thank you very much for listening, and thank you again for this opportunity.
So thank you so much, Ruthie, for making a very informative and impressive presentation. The head, heart, and hand